Good guys, what's up, guys? We are running just a tad bit behind, but it's good to see you guys. Cherie is setting up. Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Yes, please. That's why I had it set up like that. Good morning, everyone. How's everybody doing? Listen, guys, we've got a lot of great things to talk about this morning, and quite frankly, got a long morning ahead of us, right? So today, for those of you all who are just joining us, my name is Glenn P. Brooks Jr. Over there in the side, you can see is my lovely wife,
Cherie Brooks Jr., author, speaker, relationship, and life balance coach.
Yes, she got that down, guys. We're relationship coaches. We're authors. We're speakers. And each week we create an opportunity for people to come in and join us on Breakfast with the Brookses. Super excited about today, Cherie, because quite frankly, we're going to talk about some things that I think that are particularly concerning when it comes to parenting. And so before we get into everything today, I do want to encourage people that if you've never found out, been a part of, heard about, maybe you haven't had the opportunity to be introduced, but Cherie and I created an online community about a year ago now, coming up at the end of January, it'll be a year, called MAPS, Marriages and Parenting Successfully. It's a relationship academy. It is specifically designed for people who want to grow their parenting and their marriage relationships on purpose. You said what, babe?
Can you slide that up just a little bit?
This way?
Yes.
Hey, Karen, good morning. What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. We're trying to get our shot together, Karen. We're going to actually do some things a little bit differently today. And I definitely want you guys to be aware of some different things. So real quickly, for those of you all who don't know, do me a favor, go over to thecrcoach.com. That's www.busyweek.com. And we want to encourage you to please join the Relationship Academy. If you need community, if you want to get in and around a group of people who literally are growing, and when I say growing, that's their intention, right? They're literally coming in this group in order to be able to grow certain skill sets. I really would like you to turn that way just a little bit. I really like you guys to be the other way, babe. A little bit more. There you go. A little bit more. Back the other way. I'm sorry, guys. We're trying to get another camera shot ready because we're doing some different things this morning. So I literally want you guys. What's up, Trish? Good morning. Good to see you.
Good morning.
Busy week. I know everybody. I want you guys to go over and join or check us out. Just do me a favor, baby. Let me get through this part. Check us out at thecrcoach.com so that you can find out about all the things that we've got going on. In about an hour, we're going to be doing a live training with a group of people who signed up to go through our Communication Made Simple boot camp. And so we're super excited about that as well. So you were saying, I'm sorry, babe.
Do you think it's too high?
It's not high at all. It's perfect, as a matter of fact.
But if we're looking this way, like I'm looking here, how do my eyes look on there?
You're not, but it's going to be okay. Okay.
Okay.
So let's just keep moving because right now we got people live and I don't want to distract them. Okay.
Sorry, guys.
So no worries. So Cherie,
I'm multitasking.
She's multitasking. So we're going to get to the matters at hand. Today, we're going to talk about something that I think that's incredible. By show of hands, even for my replay viewers, if you are a replay viewer, first of all, I want you to just go ahead and tap into the replay or chime into the replay, right? Type it into the chat. Thank you very much. So that you guys we can greet you a little bit more personally. But if you're a replay viewer, do that. Also, let us know, are you a parent? Put a 1 in the chat. Are you a grandparent? Put a 1 in the chat. Are you an auntie? Put a 1 in the chat. Are you a mentor of any kind for children?
Right. If you
put a 1 in the chat.
Way, shape, or form.
If you have any connections to students, kids, parents of kids, I want to know about it because we're going to speak to you guys this morning a little bit and hopefully help you. Okay. So here's what we're going to do today.
Your phone.
My phone is right here.
Because we're not sharing it out.
Would you like to share it out?
I would love to share it out.
Okay.
Could you guys share it out?
Y'all do me a favor, guys. We're a little bit discombobulated this morning. So do me a favor very quickly. Go ahead and share this out to as many people as you possibly can. And then we'll go from there.
Hey, if you're on live, let us know where you're joining us from and if it's snowing where you are.
Right. Trish said 1-1-1-1-1-1-1.
Here in Hampton Roads, we've been just getting rain.
Right.
A whole lot of rain. It's cold, but it's just raining. No snow. I know in some parts of the country they got snow.
Yep.
Unexpectedly.
Yeah, like where we used to live in Atlanta.
Right.
Poor guys in Atlanta.
Yeah.
Like when
they
we
got
were there,
quite a bit of snow.
when we were there in 2014. Remember that train wreck of a snowstorm? It was really an ice storm.
Yeah, your 12-hour commute home.
And it literally took me 12 hours. I will never forget it to get home.
Well, you didn't make it home. You wound up having
Well,
to stay
actually,
at a friend's
I wound up
house.
having to stay in a friend's house because it was just that bad. I
Yeah.
really did. So 12 hours turned into 24 really, really quickly. You want this?
Yes, I
And at this particular point, guys, it was just a mess. So now here's what I want to do. Today, I want to talk about a subject. Thank you guys for chiming in. Trisha said 1-1-1-1-1. Karen said 1-1-1. For those of you who are coming in on replay, you're asking, what in the world are they talking about? We're talking about asking the question, are you a parent in any kind of way, shape, form, or another?
Right.
Do you have parenting responsibilities? Are you an auntie? Are you, an uncle? That kind of stuff. What's up? Deborah Ellis. It's from Atlanta. It's snowing here. Yeah, I know it. I know it, Deb. Look, here, we lived in Atlanta for 9 years, and I promise you, being from the DC, Maryland, Virginia area, it was always strange for us to see how people handle that. And real quick side note, you can't prepare for what you don't know about. And when I say that, when things, and I know that the weather forecast, they do what they do their best. But when I say don't know about, in other words, because you guys are in the South, there are certain kinds of budget things that are not stuck away for that. You know what I mean? And so it's just kind of crazy. And then the kind of different kind of processes that they use to get people in and out of the city are just crazy. And it doesn't help matters worse. So we're praying for you guys. Hopefully you guys make it out. For those of you all who are just joining us by replay, again, I'm Glenn P. Brooks Jr. I'm an author. I'm a speaker. I'm a coach. Cherie and I created an online community that we really are super proud of. People are coming into MAPS, the Relationship Academy. They're trying to get their parenting and their marriages straight through community, Cherie, because quite frankly, I think that we're winning because of the community that we've been in really for the almost 19 years we've been married, just different communities of people who've helped us. If you guys want to be a part of that, definitely check us out at crcoach.com. But today, babe, we're going to talk about three strategies, guys, 3 strategies. And for the sake of getting through this content, I really want to kind of just deal with the content, and then at that particular point, we'll answer questions sort of at the end. And so I just want to make sure that you guys know I'm not ignoring you. We're not ignoring you. We will see the chats, and we'll probably do some Q&A at the very end. We'll leave a little bit of time to do that, but do me a favor, just ride with us. And if you have any questions, just jot a quick note down and ask it or put it in the chat. And then that way we can go back to it. So today, we're going to talk about 3 strategies of parenting. And when I say parenting, I'm really talking about, Cherie, parenting with the relationship in mind.
Right.
When you hear parenting with the relationship in mind, what do you hear?
Being intentional, being purpose, thinking about the end and not just today.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of times parents, we have children.
Hand me a pen over there. I'm sorry.
We have these lovely bundles of joy that come into our lives, and we're so in the moment. And even as they grow through the different stages, you're dealing with what's going on in that particular moment, that you're not looking at what's happening in that moment. You can use that to prepare them for their future. Right.
I literally, I'm grateful for the kind of way I think, because I'm a team builder at my heart, at my core. That's how I function. I don't function well in environments where I'm having to play ball by myself. Is that there's a saying that he doesn't play nice with others. I don't play nice by myself.
Right.
Does that make sense? And I think that one of the things, guys, we have to be very, very careful and very conscious of as parents, and that is literally we are challenged with putting together teams around our kids so that they can win. If you think of the job of a head coach, for instance, a head coach's job really is he's the CEO of the team, if you will.
Right.
And when you talk about parents, as a parent or parents, you're the CEO of your family. Do you know what the job of a CEO is? I just want to just break it down to its barest degree. The CEO's job is to cast vision and implement it and create ways of implementing that vision to take the company to the next place. Right. That's their job at its core.
Right. Right.
Now, it looks different depending on the kind of company, the services that you provide, in this case, your family. But as the leader of the company, as the CEO of the company, as the head coach of the team, your job is to literally move that organization forward.
Right, right.
And when it comes to parenting, if we thought this way, I honestly think that our kids would be in a very different space when they got to be older.
Right, I agree. I think that, a lot of times, one thing that a lot of parents don't do, unfortunately, and we're not taught to do this,
right,
is that you have a vision for your family. You
right.
have a vision for your children, and you create a vision, a plan to
right.
go along with that vision. You see where you have an idea where you want them to go,
right,
and then you put things in place to help them get there.
Right.
But unfortunately, like I said, we just go through. You're just going through life,
yeah.
Because that's what we're taught. That's what our parents did in most cases.
That's what we saw.
Very few of us had parents that actually were that vision focused and that positioned us
right.
for our future. And what we were fortunate enough to do with our kids through, the environments that we were in. My mother was an educator, so that gave me some foundation with that. And then just being in an environment as our kids got older, when we got together, that people were focused, that they had visions and they were on purpose.
Absolutely.
In that, and we were able to implement those things with both of our children.
Absolutely.
And it helped them to reach certain goals and provided them skills and the tools
right.
to equip them when they became adults.
Absolutely. For those of you all who are just joining us, we're talking about three strategies, only three. We're going to go through them quickly, and then we're going to open it up for Q&A at the end of parenting with the relationship in mind. I'll say that again, parenting with the relationship in mind. Strategy number one, guys, is that today matters. So I want you to write this down. If you don't have a pen, maybe if you're viewing, however you're viewing this, do me a favor, figure out a way to screenshot it, do whatever you need to do. But I want you to capture this moment. Today matters. What do I mean when I say that today matters? And I'm going to preface it this way, Sheree. I want you to jump in. The things that you do today will absolutely determine what tomorrow looks like.
Right.
I'm going to say that again. The things that you do today will absolutely determine what your tomorrow looks like. When I say that, Sheree, immediately I hear the fable that says many times, or I don't know if it's a fable or a proverb or whatever it is, but it's a little story that says she can't see the forest
for the trees.
For the trees. What does that mean?
That means that you can only see exactly what's right in front of you. You see the trees that are right in front of you. Like even as I'm looking out the window, there's a tree line. If I just focus on that tree line and don't look through those trees and look beyond that, I don't see the forest that's past that. I don't see what's beyond that. I'm just focused on this one row of trees,
right.
The very front line of trees that's right in front of me.
So I love that. So when I talk about not being able to see the forest for the trees, what we're literally saying is that there are some things that are coming.
Right.
That if you don't focus on those things prior to getting there, when you get there, you will not be prepared.
Right, right. That's like driving down the road and you're just looking at the car in front of you, but you're not looking down the road. Absolutely.
Absolutely. I have a CDL license, right? And one of the biggest things that they teach you when you're going through training is when you drive, learn how to look at the horizon. If you can picture the horizon when you're driving, right? it will bring everything else into focus. Things on your peripheral, things on your side, your rear view mirror, your side mirrors. You're constantly moving your head. You're always thinking about everything not around you as well as what's right there in front of you. And I think if I relate this to parents really quickly, a lot of times what we do, guys, as parents, we literally are only concerned about today, getting through today. We're trying to figure out what you're going to eat for lunch today. We're trying to figure out what am I going to make for dinner today. So I'll give you a quick example. One of the reasons why you and I adopted a long time ago is this idea of food prepping. And I'll say you more than I, because it's something that was you were passionate about. What that does is it takes the guessing game out of what we're going to eat today.
Right.
So on Sunday afternoons, you block out time to prepare meals for the entire week. So you may cook 3 or 4 different types of meals with leftovers in mind and the whole 9 yards, with lunches, packing up lunches and the whole bit. And you prep that all out so that on Wednesday evening, when things are tight, we don't have to ask the question, so what's for dinner tonight?
Right. And when it comes to parenting, that looks like when your child is in kindergarten or in the first grade, and you see that they're excelling in the area or that they're gravitating to one particular area, you start planning, then start putting things in place to help them to build on that area, so that in the future you start looking now at, okay, so like I'll use my granddaughter, our oldest granddaughter, Zia. She loves numbers. She's in the 2nd grade now. That started when she was like in kindergarten. We started really noticing, really noticing it then. Right. And so at that time, my daughter decided, well, I'm going to let her start piano lessons. Right. Why piano lessons? Because anybody that knows, that musicians, especially piano, it helps people. It goes along with math skills in some weird way. Right. But it helps them to build their math skills playing the piano. And so she's started doing that. They're also looking now at what STEM schools are in the area that they can possibly get her into. Correct. When she gets to, because they do the schools weird here. They have intermediate. Yeah, they have
primary school.
Primary, then intermediate.
And then they go to middle school. So they don't have an elementary school where K through 5 go to the same school. It's K through 3. Right. And then 4th and 5th grade go to an intermediate school. And then after that, you go to middle school. Right. So the point that you're making, Cherie, is that today matters. And so with our kids, they are literally trying to figure out today. Right. Based upon what we see today, what will her tomorrow look like, and how can we as parents help position? So we're talking about 3 strategies, guys, of parenting with the relationship in mind. And I'm going somewhere today. Number 1, we say that today matters. And I think that one of the things I want to bear out is that children, guys, here's what we know intellectually. Children lack foresight. They don't have the ability to forecast. Right. They don't have the ability as children to say, okay, let me think about what's happening for next week and then plan today accordingly. That actually is a fundamental development issue that their brains haven't fully developed so that they process that way at those ages. And I mean, literally, that's all the way through high school, quite frankly. Right. Kids lack the ability to forecast. That's a skill set that, quite frankly, they've not developed. And quite honestly, their brains from a biological standpoint haven't even developed to the point to where that even comes into play. They even think it even comes in their space. Guys, that's why they have parents. Right. I'm going to say it again. That's why they have parents. And when you have kids who have parents who are not paying attention. Now, again, this is no judgment. Sometimes it's because culturally, maybe you're a single mother, you're working 14 jobs, you're trying to figure that out. And so you can't do everything. I get that. I'm not, trust me, please don't send me any crazy emails or inboxes saying you don't understand. No, I do. I grew up in a single parent home and I know what my mother went through. And as a result of her having to pay attention on all these different things, here's what I'm going to tell you. And she'll tell you this if you ever ask her. And that is, she couldn't always focus on me. Right. And that's why it's important to build a team. But that's going to be another talk. So number 2, that brings us right into number 2, is that in order to be able to strategize where they're going, you have to get to know them. Right. You have to get to know each of your children individually. If you have more than one child, they're not all the same. You can't put them all on the same plan. You can't
have the same expectations for each child. You have to set different expectations based on who they are individually. And one of the worst things you can do as a parent is, well, you should do what your brother's doing.
That's right.
Or you should be more like your sister.
Why don't you think the way she thinks?
That's the worst thing that you can do, because each child is an individual and you have to treat them as individuals. And that's a habit that oftentimes parents will fall into, especially if you have one child that's excelling or that's more compliant.
Right. We'll say it that way.
Right. you're gonna throw that out there to the other children, but what that does, part of what that does is it crushes their spirit and it causes resentment towards their sibling.
Absolutely.
But also it shows in a child's mind, you're showing favoritism to that other child.
Right.
Or you're putting this other child on a pedestal and I don't measure up.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not what you're trying to say. In most cases, you're just trying to give them an example, but that's not the way to do it.
Exactly. And when you say that's not the way to do it, Cherie, that brings me to this point right here. It's our jobs as parents to discover who they are and how to connect to them. Right. So I'll give you an example. I have a friend of mine. We have friends of ours who live in DC. They are parents of 4 girls, mm-hmm. and the girls range in ages from, how old is Zia? Zia 7? From 7 to I think 16, right? And so all in between. They are all homeschooled. From early on, the parents recognize in order for our kids to get a leg up, we want to be able to navigate their particular situation. And back 16 years ago when they started homeschooling, that wasn't popular.
Right.
But because they decided to put the work in and figure out how they could do it, and they're not educators by skill set. That's not who they are. Right. They figured it out. And then as they went along, they realized there were cohorts, there were all kinds of different things. And I'm not necessarily here advocating everybody should be homeschooled. I get that. I mean, that's not necessarily for every kid, but here's what they figured out. They figured out what made most sense for their children.
Right.
And then they created a plan to go get that. Mm-hmm. I know parents who have one kid who's homeschooled, another kid who goes to a Montessori school, and another kid who goes to public school.
Right.
And the reason why is because they've recognized the different learning styles of each one of those children are extraordinarily different. And so in order for their kids to get the maximum outcome, what they do is that they plan with that thought, look, Johnny is different than Susie.
Right.
Is different than Shaniqua, is different than Peanut.
Shaniqua
and Peanut. You feel me? I mean, whatever the deal is.
And they're the two brilliant.
And so they're the most brilliant ones. Peanut, I'm gonna need you to stop trying to figure out how, the calculations work for the dryer. Go to bed. You know what I'm saying? So the point I'm making is, guys, and we're making light of this, but it is incredibly, incredibly important for you as a parent to slow down.
Right.
And figure out a way. That's your job. That's our job. We figured out ways to position our kids so that they could win. And so when they're winning, it ain't an accident.
Right.
And I want people to really get that, Cherie. I think that people just kind of wait to win.
Right. I think you just let your kids, you think it's going to just organically happen, that they're going to just get it. That they're gonna figure out who they are. They're gonna figure out where they're going on their own. Your job as a parent is to position them.
Correct.
And that is so key. Your job as a parent is to position your children for success, academically, emotionally, mentally, socially.
That's my job.
That is your job, to position them.
Yeah.
That means that there's action you have to do. It's more than you just being a loving, caring parent, providing a roof over their head, providing them meals. Is actually getting in the trenches with them.
And figuring out what we need to do.
And working alongside them in a lot of ways. Now, this doesn't mean you do their work for them.
Absolutely.
I'm not saying
advocating that at all.
Because some parents do that. You're doing a project. So I'm not saying
No.
Because I believe the children need to have their own successes, and when they fail, they need to learn how to fail.
And properly. Those are their failures, right? And they need to sit with them failures sometimes because they'll learn from that.
Right. Because those are all learning opportunities. But I do think that it's your job to position them. And that means you have to give it some forethought. You have to sit back and observe and say, okay, so this child, I'm seeing they like tinkering with things all the time.
Right. Maybe they're a kinesthetic learner. Maybe they need to have, and that's where Montessori schools kind of play up. It's that kid who thrives in an environment by putting his hands on stuff and kind of learning through play, if you will. Guys, we're talking about three strategies on how to parent with the relationship in mind. And the reason why I came up with this title, Cherie, is because I, along with you, along with many of us, grew up in an era where we said, when you get 18, you're getting up out of here.
Right.
Where they going? I don't know where they're going, but they got to go. You got to go. And here's the other crazy part. The kids even have that thought. I can't wait till I'm fill in the blank. 18.
But where they going?
Where you going?
And when I say where they going, okay, they can leave, but if they're not prepared,
they're coming back. Dude,
you don't want them to come back.
You don't want them coming back. When they leave, you want them to stay gone.
Right. And that's because they're prepared to be gone.
Absolutely.
That's not because you just put them out. They're prepared.
And you don't like them, no.
Right.
I don't like
you. want to prepare them to be able to be functional, successful adults. And in some cases, that may mean, and we've known parents that have done this, my child's not ready to go off to a 4-year college. They're not ready yet.
Right.
So you're going to stay home for a year. You may go to community college.
Right.
Because you're not ready.
Right.
You're not ready to handle that responsibility.
Right. And
so I'm not going to just throw you out there, but that comes from you knowing your child and knowing they're not ready for that.
That's good. That's good. Again, that's part of your job. So when we're talking about 3 strategies to parenting with the relationship in mind, we said that number 1 was that today matters. Number 2, we said you need to, as a parent, to get to know each child as an individual. Right. And that's tough. Trust me when I tell you, that's not an easy thing to do. That's why, and I'm going to just give it to you this way, guys. That's why some companies are successful and some are not.
Right.
Let's just be very honest. That's why some people have huge amounts of successes in their families and some don't.
Right. Think about
it's not because people are inherently better than each other. It's because they think differently and they challenge themselves differently. And as a result, they grow differently.
Right. Think about on your job. Think about how, in most people's jobs, how great it would be if management really looked at each individual person and positioned them and put them in the position which was best suited for them. Not just the position they applied for. There are some people that apply for certain positions. They may have a certain skill set, but they're not really fitted for that position or fitted for that department.
Right.
Like they may have gotten a job. Let's just look at retail. You can get a job working in retail and you're not a customer. You're not a nice person.
Right. You don't really like people.
You don't need to be in customer service.
And if you do go into retail, you don't need to be talking to people.
Right.
You don't need to be dealing with the customers.
Right.
Like
they may be a great organizer. They may be great with administration. They may be great with something else. I'm not saying they're bad people, but they don't need to be the greeter at the front door when people are coming in the store.
Because you're not going to have a store very long, y'all. It's going to close. If we put this back in a family context, your family becomes unglued. When we coach people in blended family situations, that's one of the biggest things that we really push. And we put together programs for people to be able to work this out and develop this skill set. And that is, you need to learn how to become, first of all, self-aware enough, right? So that you can fix what's going on with you and how you see. And then secondly, after that, okay, now that I know what's up and what's going on, how do I create a plan for my child to win? And at the end of the day, when they do, it's not an accident. And that brings us to number 3. Number 3 is you have to provide direction.
Yes.
You have to. When I say provide direction, what I'm talking about, Cherie, is I'm saying you have to parent with the end in mind. I will say it this way: strive to be the thermostat, not the thermometer.
Right.
Strive to be the satellite, not the GPS. See, when I say provide direction, I'm not necessarily saying turn by turn.
Right.
I'm not necessarily saying your job is to give them step by step. Okay, when you get here, you do this. No, because now you're thinking for them.
Right.
GPS thinks for us.
Right.
Hello?
Right.
GPS absolutely will take out of your head your own sense of direction.
Right.
And if that GPS goes out or something goes wrong, you literally are in a place where you're saying, oh my God, I don't know what to do, because your sense of direction is off.
Right.
The satellite ain't got a problem with direction.
Right. It's the
top down. And it's looking from the top down. It's looking at the whole situation. It's looking at it from the end back to where you start. It's asking you, where do you want to go?
Right. And it'll show you want to go from here to here.
Right.
It's not going to show you all of the turns in between. You're going from California to Maryland.
The satellite won't show you that.
It's going to show you that.
But the GPS will.
The GPS will show you all which turn, which to make. But your goal as a parent to say, okay, you're here, but you're trying to get here. I need to position you. I need to point you in a direction.
Right.
To go that way. Because if you're trying to go east.
Right.
I'm not going to point you west.
So real quick, let's give them a very practical solution, and then we're going to go look like we might be glitching just a little bit here. Weather is kind of crazy. But look, guys, very quickly, let's use our daughter, for example.
Okay.
Not an accident that you guys know that, I mean, it's not unknown that we're a blended family. So when I met you, Shantae was 11.
Yeah.
At 11 years old, she had already gone to several private schools as a kid.
Right. She started.
So she understood regiment to some degree.
Right.
When you and I met, you were a single mom and the funds were getting super tight. You had to take her out of private school.
Right. She had been in public school. She was in public school, I think, her second year or first year when we met.
So when we got together, just before, because we got married a year and a half probably after we met. Right. She wound up spending 2 years in public school. In those 2 years, we noticed something. What did we notice?
She had lost her mind. She had lost.
And this is not an indictment on public schools. Right, this is just what happened. Okay, guys, I want y'all to hear this.
The culture in the public school. Let me just backtrack. She had been in private school from the time she was 2.5. She had always been in a Christian private school, very small school classroom, very structured, very highly regimented. Environment. So when she went to public school in middle school,
right, that was her first introduction to public school, 7th grade.
Well, she had gone 6th
grade, maybe.
She had gone like part of a year in like 4th grade, but then she went back. But this was her first full-time, full-blown experience in public school, and it was middle school.
Yes.
And so that made a big difference because middle school is a very critical point for kids.
Yes.
Anyway.
Yes.
And so the environment was not conducive to her. Also, academically, she was not being challenged, which led to her, because she's a social butterfly anyway, led to her getting distracted.
Right.
And so her grades started to suffer. She started having some disciplinary problems, but it was not a good look because she had lost her focus.
Got it.
And so we realized that we had to get her back on a path because we knew her potential.
Yes.
And we knew where the end was.
Yes.
But if we allowed her to get off of that path, that she would not reach her end.
Let me just say this very quickly. The reason why, again, you have to understand, I came into the picture as Shantae was 11. I didn't know these things. Her mom did. So as a result of that, she knew I have a reference point of where this girl started. And I have a clear understanding of where she could end up. We then put our heads together and say, how do we create a game plan to make that happen? And so it was just really conversation at first.
Right.
Then we had the opportunity to visit a high school graduation of a friend of ours who had a daughter in this particular high school who was graduating. So our daughter was punished. She didn't go because she was tripping and cutting up. We went to the graduation. Long story short, here's what I learned. In this particular school, 100% of the kids as seniors graduated. 98% of the kids in this particular high school went on to secondary education. 98%. The other 2% went to the military. Of those 98% of those kids that went on to secondary education, 96% of them did so on some sort of scholarship that was offered because of the high school that they went to. It didn't take us long, guys, to figure out, you know what? This is the game changer. Right. Guys, at the time, we didn't have any degrees. I still don't have a degree. Right. I'm not interested in getting a degree. It's not the path that I'm on. No disrespect to it. I get it. I understand it. My wife is 7 classes away from her bachelor's. Great. But here's the deal. With that limited mindset education, we didn't know, but we knew enough to know where the kid was and where the kid needed to be. We said, let's position her. And here was my exact statement. If I have to eat peanut butter and jelly for the next 4 years and drive hoopties and never spend nothing, she's going to go to this school. And that's what we did. We ate peanut butter jelly more than we like to have. We ate oodles and noodles much more than we wanted to. And we absolutely drove a hoopty every year. And the point I'm making is that we made the adjustment because as parents, our job was to provide direction. Well, today she has 2 masters and she's enrolled in a PhD program at 32 years old, married with 2 children. That is a testament to her work and her effort because she had to make those things happen. It's also coupled with her positioning.
Right.
She was positioned, put in a place that she could win. I'm not saying these things to toot our horn. This ain't about us, but it is about us as a collective. And I want you guys to understand, guys, listen to me carefully. As parents, in order for you to take your kids where they need to be, you need to change.
Right. I think a lot of times, especially in our culture, this being a me culture, sometimes we lose sight of the sacrifice that's required in order to position our children. That's a word that parents don't like to use anymore because it's like, it's about me. It's, I provide for them. I do this. And this is something that's really hard, especially for single parents. Well, let me say, it can be difficult for single parents, even for married couples to truly sacrifice. Like I said, because we're in such a me generation, the culture today is about me.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't understand the importance or don't make it a priority. And oftentimes, I mean, like for years, we didn't have cable in our house, not because we couldn't afford it, because we realized that
we didn't need the competition,
right? The influence on our kids. And so there were some things that we sacrificed. There were sacrifices that we made to position them.
Absolutely.
And it was rough. I'm not going to lie and say it wasn't at times, but it was in the end result was so worth it.
Absolutely worth it. And we could go on. There's stories we could share about our son, same way. I mean, he had a completely different path, but he wound up coming out okay. And the truth of the matter is, and did well. Guys, if you want to know more about this, 3 strategies, real quick, I'm going to come back, Cherie, to literally parenting with the relationship in mind. As a recap, very quickly, you have to understand, number 1, today matters. Number 2, you have to get to know them as individuals. That's critical. And number 3, you have to provide the direction. You cannot get to the place to where you will either A, allow them to direct the path, or B, to back off and think that it's out of osmosis. It's just going to happen.
Right.
So we're going to go real quick. We're going to end the talk portion of today. And I just want to go real quick to question and answer. We don't have a lot of time, but I do want to do that because I said we would. Very quickly, let's go back to the comments. We're going to go down to the beginning. Deborah said, oh, okay, no, that was about the snow. Setting up a plan. Okay, good. I love this. Setting up a plan was never taught to me in this manner. And to be honest, if I had community I have now, if I had the community I have now, I could have done more for my kids.
And that's true, Karen. Most of us didn't know. We weren't taught this.
We weren't taught this, guys. And so this is no judgment, no disrespect. No. You should not even feel that.
Right.
What you should do is you should say, okay, it is what it is. I did the best I could. Mm-hmm. Now what? Mm-hmm. Stop asking, well, why didn't I know this? Now what do I do? They're 16 years old. I didn't know this then. So now what do I do? If you want to know more about that, you probably need a coach. We would be more than happy to talk to you about that. Go to the crcoach.com and absolutely, I will, baby. I just want to, I see what you're saying.
No, it was another.
Do me a favor. I'm going to go back. I got a direction. Okay. Follow me on this one for me, please. The crcoach.com. I want you to go there if you need some help in trying to strategize and figure out, okay, this is where I am, but I want to get my kids here. We can help put you on a plan to be able to do that. So now back to what you were saying. What did you want me to go back to? Yeah. You go ahead and operate it since you saw something that you wanted to post. Just make sure. Yeah. Okay. So Trisha Disney said, I thought I did plan with my birth son, but now he is in his 30s. Our relationship is not important to him. And my stepkids' birth parents did not know these strategies, and so we have little relationship with them. And I think that's just more of a statement. One of the things that I can tell you, these strategies, okay, go ahead and pop that part in. So Trish went on to say that these strategies will help me with our grandson starting now. Trish, I love that. Right. I love that perspective because sometimes, guys, let's just be very honest.
If you didn't know,
you didn't know. And so here's where grace gets to come in.
Right.
At this particular point, let's just pray that the grace abounds in a way that, you know what, you'll be able to turn the corner. But here's what I want you to not lose sight of. Where are you today and who can you help today? Let's pop somebody else in who had a quick question or a statement, Cherie. Don't compare. Renee said, don't compare your children. Each one is an individual. Make time to get to know each child and how to connect to them. Absolutely critical, Renee. That's absolutely critical because they're all very different. They're all very unique. Anything else, Cherie, you want to pop in there? I like what Karen said. You just scrolled by that said, my job is to be something, she said. I can't read the one below that, just below that. There you go. Is to position my children. Absolutely. And I want to state real quick, guys, that is your job. I think that unfortunately, Cherie, many of us, because we didn't get a job description when we signed up to be parents, we don't know what our job is.
Right.
We really don't. It's no disrespect. I know I didn't. I didn't know what my job was. I knew what my role was. But my job and my role sometimes are different. And I wish somebody told me, no, this is your job. In order for you to get promoted, in order for you to get to win, you're going to have to be able to excel in this area. Next one.
And Keisha added to this is a much needed discussion. 18 does not equate to ready. Then she goes on to say, if you haven't spent the last 18 years putting your child in position to win, you need to have realistic expectations when your child turns 18.
Ooh, that's good, Keisha. I'm glad you said that. No, that's absolutely correct. Keisha also said that was good. Satellite, not GPS. No, that's true. It's a perspective issue. It's a perspective issue. Anybody else, babe?
Tina Shade also commented, that's very true. I say that all the time. It's our responsibility to position our kids to be successful adults. Simply put, we have to teach them or help them to obtain the skills to be successful, give them direction. That is so true. And that just sums it all up.
Absolutely.
That is our job as parents, is to position our kids. We have to prepare them. You can't just expect them to just automatically grow into these functional adults.
Yeah, and winning. And I think that unfortunately, particularly in some communities, I know this happened a lot in the African American community. I can say that because I grew up as an African American. We tend to kind of have a approach, and it's not an indictment on our culture, it's just true. We tend to sit back and allow other things to do what it is that either A, we can't do because we don't have the ability or resources, or B, we don't know to do because we lack the knowledge. And what we do here on Marriages and Parenting Successfully and every week on Breakfast with the Brooks is our goal is to increase your level of education, your level of understanding, and give you tips on how you can do this. And if you need more help, if you need somebody to work with you in your specific scenario, hit us up at thecrcoach.com. Sign up for a free assessment. We'd love to talk to you so that we can figure out if we're a match, if we can help you. We've got people that we're putting on co-parenting plans. We got people we're putting on how to get your kid college ready. Like, we can help you do that because we did that. I remember we visited 16 schools, something like that, when my daughter clearly made it known that she wanted to go to college. Justin didn't want to go to college. So that wasn't his track, but that wasn't his path. I get that. Respect that. No problem. What do you want to do? Let us position you for that. But the truth is that we visited 16 schools.
Right. And I think that, just to backtrack real quick, I think that one thing, and Glenn was saying, is that, sometimes you don't know what to do, or you don't have what it is to give to your child. That's why it's so important to have a community. That's why it's so important to create 100%. You a tribe. And if you don't know how to do that, join us in the Master Relationship Academy. That's a great way to start. But you have to have people around you. That's where people can fill in those gaps.
Absolutely.
Because we don't know everything. We didn't know everything. We had a tribe of people that gave us those other pieces that we were then able to implement. We had people that were able to fill in places like Shantae wasn't sure. She was saying she wanted to be a counselor, or she wanted to be a doctor. She wasn't sure. So we had her in relationship with people that were doctors, that were counselors, that she was able to be around to decide, okay, no, this is what I want to do.
Yeah, I remember on the flip side, Justin thought at one point he wanted to go into the rap game, right? So, well, because of my connections in the radio world, literally I pulled some strings and made some things happen and got him an internship at a radio station as a high school student.
Right. And even then he
found out
studio place and he would go.
Yeah. And he was like, no, I don't want to do that. I want to produce, or I want to write. And so it helped to sort of reshape how, and today he is a very good writer, extremely good communicator. But it's because he learned the things and we position them. Guys, we're not perfect, but we're winning. And what I will tell you is that it's possible for you to win as well. You do not have to do this by yourself. If you are going to get to any place of significance with your children, in your marriage, in your relationships, you're going to need help. You cannot do that by yourself. So at the end of the day, guys, we got to get out of here. Got to get ready for this live boot camp that we're going to be doing. You guys should be in here. We're going to probably redo it next year, early next year. You should be. It's called Communication Made Simple. We're going to teach people how to communicate. And so this week is the second week of a 3-week boot camp. And I'm going to be doing that in the next 15 minutes. But listen, at the end of the day, guys, we like to say hashtag. We all need some help. We need some help. You cannot get to where you want to be by yourself. And if you do, here's what I'm going to suggest. You haven't gone very far. So sorry. You just haven't, because it just didn't take a lot for you to pull that off by yourself. I'm Glenn P. Brooks Jr. I'm an author. I'm a speaker. I'm a coach. Deborah Ellis, thank you for joining us. Where are you from, Deborah? Just real quick, I got you. I don't know. Thank you for your insight. I allowed my daughter to decide her path. And I stayed in touch with her lead. She graduated.
Awesome.
Awesome. That is what I'm talking about. Awesome. I know we ain't the only ones. I love it. I love it. Awesome. No, kudos to you, Deborah. And again, we appreciate you guys for jumping in. Absolutely surrounding ourselves with people, places, and things. Our horizons. Love it, Tina. I appreciate it. No, I love it, sis. So true. Guys, we got to jump out of here. We're going to, she's from the ATL. That's right. You got snowed in early. I forgot, from the ATL, but we're going to run. Right, love and appreciate you guys. Thank you for allowing us to come into your space this morning.
And as we always say,
hashtag
we all need
some help.
Y'all have a great weekend.
See y'all later.
Be safe.
Be safe.
Bye.